Welcome to the deep dive. You know, our entire digital lives, every movie we stream, every transaction, they all depend on this massive unseen infrastructure. And right at the heart of it all is the data center manager. It's a role that's just become incredibly critical, especially with technology evolving so fast. So today we're doing a deep dive into what it really takes to succeed in this job. Think of it as like a shortcut to understanding it all. Not just for people in the field, but really for anyone curious about these hidden engines powering our world. We've pulled key insights from a guy that's actually designed for people interviewing for this exact role, so we're getting a real peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is the kind of questions that come up, they're not just about, the deep tech stuff. They're also really digging into crucial soft skills, things like leadership, sharp problem solving, and just being able to adapt because it's such a dynamic environment. So our mission today is really to unpack how all these different pieces, the tech, the leadership, how they all mesh together for successful data center operations. Stability, really.
Okay, let's get into it. When you talk about managing these digital fortresses, one of the first things is the tools, right? The systems managers use to see everything. So a key question for any data center manager is probably going to be, can you describe your experience with data center infrastructure management tools? Why are these so fundamental?
Right. DCIM tools, data center infrastructure management, they're basically the central nervous system for the data center. Their main job is, well, it's pretty comprehensive: monitoring, managing all the asset servers, cooling, power, everything, and optimizing how the whole place performs. It's not just about being efficient, though. It's really about ensuring high availability, keeping everything online, accessible all the time. And the real insight now is how these tools are moving beyond just monitoring. They're getting into predictive analytics. So instead of just reacting when something breaks, they're starting to anticipate issues, like spotting a potential cooling problem days before it actually impacts anything.
Okay, so anticipating problem.
Exactly. That predictive power, that's where you find real efficiency gains and, frankly, significant cost savings. Fixing things before they become actual problems. The sorts we looked at mentioned a few specific examples, like Schneider Electric Structure Wear, Nalite, and SolarWinds. Those are some well-known names in the DCIM space.
So it's less like just reading gauges and more like having a crystal ball for the data center's health.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Without them, I guess it'd be like trying to run a major city's utilities totally blindfolded. You wouldn't know about power outages or burst pipes until it's way too late. Okay, so you've got the visibility. The next huge challenge must be making sure all that gear and data follows the rules. How do managers handle the whole compliance base?
Oh, yeah. Compliance is absolutely critical. And it's not just about avoiding fines, though that's part of it. It's really about protecting sensitive data and, maintaining trust. To make sure they're compliant, managers have to be up to speed on key industry standards, things like ISO
It's
27001.
like the security standard.
Exactly. That one's a big international standard for information security management systems. Basically, a strong framework for managing sensitive data. Then there's PCI DSS for handling credit card data securely, preventing breaches. And HIPAA, which is vital in healthcare for protecting patient health information. And the way you maintain this, it involves putting in really strict access controls, doing regular audits of all your processes, and keeping meticulous, thorough documentation, everything documented. And beyond your internal stuff, working closely with third-party auditors is, well, it's crucial. They help validate your processes and find areas where you need to improve.
So beyond the obvious legal and money risks, what happens day to day if a data center starts slipping on compliance? It sounds like it's more than just paperwork. It's about culture.
Absolutely. That's a great point. The deeper insight isn't just knowing the standards, it's building a culture where compliance isn't seen as some annoying checklist. It needs to be baked into how everyone operates every day, part of operational excellence. When you do that, you minimize human error, you build trust with everyone involved, stakeholders, customers. You essentially create this really secure digital fortress from the inside out.
Okay, so compliance sets the rules of the road.
Mm.
But the digital world is unpredictable, right? Full of threats.
Yeah.
So beyond just meeting standards, what proactive steps do managers take to, manage and mitigate risks?
Yeah, this is where you really need to be thinking ahead. Proactive is the key word. So key strategies involve doing regular, really comprehensive risk assessments. You identify potential weak spots, figure out what could go wrong, and then prioritize the stuff that needs attention first. It's fundamentally about building resilience into the system.
Resilience, right. How does that look in practice?
Well, it means things like implementing redundancy and failover mechanisms. When we say redundancy, we mean having duplicates. Duplicate power supplies, network links, maybe even whole servers, just sitting there ready to take over instantly. And failover is the automated switch. The moment a main system hiccups, the backup kicks in seamlessly. The goal is zero interruption to critical services. It also means making sure your environmental controls are rock solid cooling systems, fire suppression, things like that. And, absolutely critical, having a well documented disaster recovery plan, knowing exactly what to do if the worst happens. But the guide really stresses something often overlooked: staff training. It's huge for managing human error, which is often a factor, and for making sure people respond effectively and quickly when something unexpected does happen. I remember one scenario in the guide mentioned something seemingly small like a leaky pipe. It could have become a massive outage, but well-trained staff following a clear plan caught it early.
Wow. Yeah, you can see how that training makes a difference. It's clear these measures are really the backbone, aren't they? Preventing catastrophic data loss or just long downtimes for any business. You just think about how many services we all rely on every day that would just, poof, vanish without these precautions.
Yeah.
Now, even with the best risk planning, sometimes the big strategic move is, well, completely changing the data center's physical setup. Which brings us to migration or consolidation projects. Those sound massive.
Oh, they are. Huge undertakings. Leading those projects successfully, it takes really diligent project planning, very precise resource allocation, and super careful timeline management. The main goal is always minimal downtime. Always. So often you'll use a phased approach, moving things bit by bit, and you absolutely have to validate the whole migration plan with rigorous testing before you actually execute anything. But a key takeaway, honestly, is that even with perfect technical planning, effective communication with everyone involved, all the stakeholders, and meticulous documentation are just, well, absolutely critical for success.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Without clear communication, even the best technical plan can just fall apart.
It sounds like an incredibly complex dance, moving all that data and hardware, sometimes across the country,
Yeah.
or just consolidating it without messing up services. What's like a common snag or surprise managers hit during these migrations?
One challenge that comes up a lot is just the sheer complexity of dependencies. Figuring out every single application, every database, every network link that needs to move or be reconfigured, and making absolutely sure no connections get broken. It often turns out to be way more intricate than anyone thought at the start.
Right.
It's kind of like trying to relocate a whole tightly interconnected city to a new spot without anyone noticing the move.
Huh. Good analogy. Okay, that leads us nicely into the more long-term strategic thinking needed. How do data center managers handle capacity planning? It's not just about today, it's about predicting tomorrow's digital tsunami, right? I guess it's a bit like trying to guess how many people are coming to a party where everyone keeps inviting more friends.
Exactly. And you need to make sure you order enough cake, but not too much, right? Which is where working with finance is key. Capacity planning involves, monitoring what you're using right now, power, space, cooling, compute, but crucially, predicting future needs. And those predictions are based on things like business growth forecasts, upcoming tech changes, new projects. Those DCIM tools we talked about earlier, they're invaluable here too. They let managers analyze usage trends and plan for expansions or upgrades when they're needed. And like you said, it's vital to collaborate really closely with the finance and procurement teams. That ensures you get the new resources, the servers, the cooling upgrades, whatever, in time, but without going overboard and over-provisioning. It's about optimizing both cost and performance.
It's fascinating how that behind-the-scenes planning directly impacts the speed and reliability of everything you and I use online every day. We just expect it to work. Okay, final area. We've covered tools, compliance, risks, planning, all the hardware and processes, but what about the people running it all? What's your approach to managing a data center team?
The human element, it's still absolutely critical, even in these super automated environments. My approach, and what the guide emphasizes, really focuses on building a cohesive, skilled team that starts with clearly defining everyone's roles and responsibilities. People need to know what they own, and one aspect that's really stressed is ongoing training and development. You have to keep the team updated. Technology changes so fast in this field, you need continuous learning just to keep pace with best practices. Beyond the technical skills, fostering open communication, giving regular feedback, both positive and constructive, and importantly, recognizing achievements are all key. They're vital for motivating people and keeping good talent. Ultimately, a strong, well-managed team is the absolute backbone of operational resilience, more than any piece of hardware.
So it really sounds like even surrounded by all this cutting-edge tech, that human leadership piece is still paramount, isn't it? Can you maybe share an example from the guide where good team management really made a difference in a tough spot?
Certainly. Yeah, the guide had some good examples. It highlighted cases where well-trained teams that felt empowered, managed to quickly sort out complex outages. Situations that could easily have led to hours of downtime were resolved fast because they had clear communication channels, they knew the escalation paths. Basically, the manager had fostered an environment where people felt safe, flagging potential issues, sharing knowledge, and crucially, collaborating effectively under pressure. That's often what stops a small glitch from becoming a total catastrophe.
It really drives it home. In these incredibly high-tech, high-stakes environments, effective human leadership is just indispensable.
Exactly. So looking back at our deep dive today, it really underscores just how multifaceted this data center manager role is. It's this blend, isn't it? Deep technical know-how, sharp strategic planning, meticulous risk management, and, like we just discussed, really strong leadership skills.
And understanding all those facets gives you, the listener, a really valuable insight into the hidden infrastructure that powers, well, everything digital, whether you're thinking about a tech career or just want to be more informed about the world around you. So let's leave you with a final thought to chew on. Given how fast technology keeps evolving, how might future advancements think AI, maybe even quantum computing? How might they further transform what a data center manager does, particularly around optimizing resources or cooling, or maybe even predicting completely unforeseen future demands? Something to think about.